Right, now, the center of my brace is the glue line right there from where I glued these two pieces together. So, I was in about 1.125" from the edge, so I'll go ahead and mark that at 1.125". Flip my speed square around, mark that at 1.125", and then in between my two marks is 3 inches, actually about 3, yeah, it's close to 3. So I'll mark that at 1.5, and then I've got my 3 screws right across the top and lining up with the ones on the other side. You don't want to end up with different numbers of screws on each side. You don't want to have them in a different pattern. So try to keep everything pretty much lined up. Bad. There are 3 screws. Those look like they're pretty much in line. On that side. Yeah, not bad. Okay, on the back, they don't really line up with the other side, so you don't see them in the same plane. So and I put these ones in the back at a slight angle. Got our screws in, we've got our arm in place. Pretty flat across both sides. And what we'll do from there, and you'll notice on this chair, is when I put the arms on, I made a slide. If you come a little closer, please, Mr. Cameraman. I made some braces, much like I did around to collar this brace on the bottom, but I made some little pieces that would go up underneath the arm. That way the arm just has more support. And I angled them back so that it kind of matched the angles on the rest of the project. And then that gave it that additional support on the arm, because the arm is a a place where you're always going to be grabbing on, pushing on when you get up and stuff like that. So having that little bit of additional support right there on the arm is advantageous. So what I'll do is start cutting some of those pieces, and I'll get right back with you in a minute. Thank you, guys. Okay, guys, I went ahead and made the small braces that go right underneath the arms between the corbel and set underneath the arm itself. You can see how I put a 22.5-degree angle on the ends here. I 45'd it on the inside so that they fit together nice and straight, and so I can glue where they meet also in the angle. And you can see I did the same thing on the back just to kind of make them uniform, okay? So it just peels right around like that and gives it a lot more support to the arm itself, okay? Now, the most difficult thing about that, and you can also see, before I forget it, I went ahead and put a piece on the inside also that kind of wraps around and has a 22.5-degree angle on the inside there. The reason I use 22.5 is because the saw locks into place there, and it makes it easier to make these small places or small cuts when the saw's locked into place. So let me show you how to make those small cuts, and that's probably the most difficult part of this, is just making those small cuts. So overall, I know my width of my chair leg is 5.5 inches. I think I've got a piece here that should be pretty close to that. Yeah, 5.5. Now this piece is going to be the one that we're putting on the inside underneath the arm. So we're going to back cut each end of it down 22.5 degrees. So we'll line it up, make our cut right on the end. Again, since I'm working with a smaller stock, I like to let my blade stop. I'll flip it over. And the most important thing here is to just make sure that you've got both angles going in the same direction. Let my saw stop, pull my piece away, so I've got that pretty much taken care of. Go ahead and dry fit it. It's not bad. Fits pretty flat, pretty straight. Now, remember, I always want to hit my edges just a little bit to get rid of any sharpness. Now, when you're dealing with angles, you've got to really watch. Not so much on this because the angles are pretty much hidden, but you want to watch, like if you're making a picture frame or anything like that, sanding your angles, because then your picture frame is not going to go together correctly with your 45s. So you've got to pretty much have nice straight cuts on something like this. On this, we can sand our angles a little bit. Okay, we have the piece for the inside. Now the pieces for the corbel itself, or the support on the outside, are a little bit more difficult, just simply because they're smaller. On those, the inside angle is 45 degrees. So I'll set my saw at 45. And if I make a nice, slow, deliberate cut, then I'll end up with fewer splinters or broken edges or anything like that when I make my angle. So this is going to fit in the long side right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in where it goes and make my mark on the back so I know what length. And here again, guys, just like we did the pieces for the collar, I'm going to make a small tick on the top, and I'm going to make myself a small line so that I know which way the angle is going to go when I come back. So I'll set the saw, and you can hear it click into place. I like that, especially if I'm doing angles. I like to hear that click. So I'll line it up. And notice always hold the longer piece when I'm cutting small pieces of wood. Don't put your fingers in there and try to hold something this small while you're cutting right next to the blade. Not a really good idea. I like my fingers, so I'm gonna hold on to the longer piece and keep my fingers and hands farther away from the saw blade. Okay. That one fits pretty good. I like it. Okay. So I know that one goes in there. I'm gonna go ahead and cut another 45-degree angle on the edge of this. Okay. I'll put that piece in there where it goes. And I'm going to put this piece in where it goes. I'm going to make a small mark on the back so I know where to cut it. Got my mark. I'm going to come out, make a small tick on the top, and then I'm going to give myself an angle across it so I know which way the angle is. And here again, guys, really important. This is a super small piece. I don't want you to try to hold on to this side of it while you're cutting. So whenever you're cutting small angled pieces and stuff like that, make sure you've got a long piece that you're cutting out of, not trying to cut something that's going to put your fingers way too close to the blade. Okay. 22.5 degrees was our cut. And it needs to be going the other way. I'll line up my tooth on the saw blade. Then I'll leave my saw down until it stops. That way it's a lot less likely that this small piece is going to get hurled out from the saw after I make my cut. You guys know how that is when stuff gets thrown around the classroom. Okay, those fit in there pretty good. If you can kind of get a look around where my fingers are and stuff, you can see that the pieces fit in there pretty securely. The angles line up pretty good. You're flush with the edges of the leg and this support right here. So that looks pretty good. All we have to do is do the same thing again for the back. And it's really super simple to sand them. You guys all know how to do that. Just hit your edges, make sure there's no sharp points or edges on these things, and then we'll just glue them and put them on. So for right now, that's good. When we come back, I'll show you how to arc the top, and then we're pretty much done. Thanks, guys.